Imagine someone walked into your house tonight, took 40% of everything you own, and left. Your TV, your furniture, your savings, just gone. You'd call the police, right? You'd be furious. But what if I told you, this has been happening to you every single day, since the moment you were born, and you never noticed? Because they didn't take your stuff. They took something invisible. They took your time. On August 15th, 1971, someone made a decision that stole decades of your life, and you're working extra years to make up for it without even knowing why. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is math. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly how many years of your life were stolen, who took them, and why they're never giving them back. Let me show you something that's going to make you angry. In 1970, the average American worker had to work 15 hours to buy 1 ounce of gold. Today, you have to work 60 hours to buy that same ounce of gold. Same gold, 4 times more of your life. Or look at it this way, your grandfather worked 40 years and retired comfortably. You're going to work 40 years and still worry about money in your 70s. That's not because you're bad with money. That's because something changed the rules in the middle of the game. Here's the part that should terrify you. Every hour you work, you trade your time for money. But what if that money is designed to lose value? You're not just losing purchasing power, you're losing hours of your actual life. Think about that. The time you spent working last year is worth less this year. You sold hours of your life that you can never get back, and someone devalued them after you already spent the time. That's not economics. That's theft. Invisible, legal, but still theft. And it all started on one Sunday evening when a politician most people don't even remember made a decision that changed the nature of money itself. But here's what nobody talks about. He didn't just change money. He changed your relationship with time, with work, with your entire future. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Okay, forget everything boring you learned in school about the gold standard. I'm going to explain this in a way that actually matters to your life. Imagine you work all week, you get paid, and your boss hands you a receipt. That receipt says, I owe you 10 hours of my time. Whenever you want, you can come back and cash in this receipt, and I have to give you 10 hours of my labor. That receipt has real value because it's backed by something tangible, time, labor, a real promise. That's what money used to be. Every dollar was a receipt for gold. The government said, we owe you this much gold, and it's sitting in a vault waiting for you. You could literally walk into a bank and say, give me my gold, and they had to honor it. This created something beautiful and simple. The government couldn't just print unlimited receipts because they only had so much gold. It was honest money. If you saved $100 in 1950 and pulled it out in 1960, it bought roughly the same amount of stuff. Your time held its value. But here's where it gets interesting. After World War II, America had most of the world's gold. We were so rich, so powerful, that other countries agreed to base their entire economies on our dollar. The deal was simple. Your currency is tied to the dollar. The dollar is tied to gold. Everyone wins. America becomes the bank of the world, and for 25 years, this created the most prosperous period in human history. The 1950s and 60s weren't just good times because of culture. They were good because money was honest. But then, something happened that changed everything. And it wasn't what you think. Here's the part of the story that reads like a spy thriller. 1965, French President Charles de Gaulle is sitting in Paris, and he's looking at his dollars. He's got billions of them. And he starts thinking, wait a minute, America is printing money like crazy, fighting wars, building highways, going to the moon. But do they actually have enough gold to back all these dollars? So he does something absolutely brilliant and ruthless. He calls America's bluff. De Gaulle sends the French Navy across the Atlantic Ocean, shows up in New York, and says, I want my gold. Not tomorrow, not next month, right now. And according to the Federal Reserve's own records, France converted over $300 million into gold and shipped it back to Paris. Then Spain did it. Then Germany started asking questions. It was like a bank run, but on a global scale. Picture this: massive naval ships loaded with actual gold bars, sailing across the ocean, draining America's vaults. By 1971, the U.S. had started with over 20,000 tons of gold in 1950, and now we were down to around 8,000 tons. The math wasn't working anymore. America had printed way more dollars than we had gold to back them. We were running the world's biggest Ponzi scheme, and France just exposed it. Now, why was America printing so much money? 2 words: Vietnam and welfare. The government was trying to fight a war overseas and build a great society at home simultaneously. Noble goals maybe, but economically impossible under the gold standard. Every bomb dropped in Vietnam, every new government program, it all required gold-backed dollars. And we were running out of gold fast. President Nixon had a choice. Either admit we overspent, cut everything, face a massive recession, and look weak on the global stage, or do something that had never been done before: change the rules entirely. August 15, 1971, 9 p.m. Nixon interrupts Bonanza, the most popular TV show in America, to make an announcement. Most people watching had no idea they were witnessing the biggest financial experiment in human history. Nixon says, "I am temporarily suspending the convertibility of the dollar into gold." Temporarily. That word matters because it has been 50+ years, and we're still waiting for temporary to end. But here's what's brilliant and terrifying about this moment. Nixon sold this as patriotism. He said he was protecting American workers from international speculators. He made it sound like foreign countries were attacking us, and he was defending the average American. The media ate it up. Headlines the next day praised his bold leadership. But think about what actually happened. He just announced that your receipts, your dollars, they're not backed by anything anymore. Your money is now worth whatever the government says it's worth, and they can print as much as they want, whenever they want. Imagine if your boss said, "Hey, remember those IOUs I gave you for your work? Yeah, I'm not honoring those anymore. But don't worry, the paper still has value because I say it does." You'd quit immediately. But when Nixon did it to 300 million Americans, people just shrugged and went back to watching TV. Now, I need you to understand something crucial here. Nixon wasn't necessarily evil. He was stuck. If he defended the gold standard, the economy would crash, unemployment would spike, and he'd lose re-election. If he ended it, he could kick the problem down the road and let future generations deal with it. He chose short-term political survival over long-term economic honesty. And that's the decision we're all living with right now. But here's the part nobody talks about, the part that actually changed your life more than the economics. Ending the gold standard didn't just change money, it changed human psychology. It changed how you think about debt, about saving, about your entire relationship with work and time. Let me explain what I mean. Before 1971, debt was shameful. Your grandparents' generation avoided debt like a disease. Why? Because debt was expensive in real terms. If you borrowed money when money held its value, you paid it back with money that was just as valuable. Debt was painful. But after 1971, when money started losing value constantly, debt became smart. Borrow money today, pay it back with cheaper money tomorrow. Suddenly, debt isn't just acceptable, it's encouraged. Banks started pushing credit cards. The entire economy shifted from rewarding savers to rewarding borrowers. And here's where it gets psychological. Your grandparents could save money under their mattress, and it would roughly hold value. So they thought long-term, they delayed gratification. They planned decades ahead. But you grew up in a world where saving cash is literally losing money. So you had to become an investor, whether you wanted to or not. You had to take risks with stocks, real estate, crypto, anything to outrun inflation. The system punished patience and rewarded gambling. This created a massive cultural shift. Your grandparents lived in a low time preference world. They could think long term because the system rewarded it. You live in a high time preference world where waiting is punishing and immediate gratification makes financial sense. This isn't about morality. This is about incentives. The system literally rewired human behavior. And here's the really dark part. This shift benefits people who already have wealth because they can take bigger risks and hire experts to manage their money. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can't afford to take risks. You can't afford financial advisors. You just watch your purchasing power slowly drain away. It's a system that punishes the poor for being poor and rewards the rich for being rich. And it all traces back to August 15th, 1971. Now I'm going to show you something that's going to change how you see everything. There's a hidden tax you're paying every single day, and it's not on your paycheck, it's not on your receipts. You'll never see it listed anywhere. But it's real, it's massive, and it's stealing years of your life. Economists call it inflation, but that word doesn't capture what it actually is. Let me reframe it for you. Inflation is a time tax. Here's how it works. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. With 3% inflation, which is considered healthy by the government, your money loses 3% of its value every year. That means you have to work an extra 3% just to stay in the same place. 3% of $50,000 is $1,500. That's $1,500 of your labor that just vanished into thin air. Nobody stole it from your wallet, but it's gone. Now multiply that over 40 years of working. That's $60,000 of your life, stolen silently. But it's worse than that, because inflation hasn't been 3%. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics' own numbers, real inflation, the stuff you actually buy like food, housing, healthcare, that's been running closer to 6 to 8% for decades. Let's use 6% to be conservative. 6% of $50,000 is $3,000 per year. Over 40 years, that's $120,000 of your labor gone. But remember, this compounds. With compound inflation over 40 years at 6%, your purchasing power is cut by 90%. Let me put that in terms of time. If you work 40 years, at 6% average inflation, you effectively worked 4 extra years for free. 4 years of your life, traded for money that lost its value. You sold your time, and someone devalued it after you already spent it. That's not a metaphor, that's math. Your grandfather worked 40 years and got 40 years of value. You work 40 years and get 36 years of value. 4 years of your life stolen by inflation. And here's the really messed up part. Who benefits from this invisible tax? The people who print the money, the government. When the government prints money, they spend it first before inflation kicks in. They get full value. By the time that money reaches you, it's already worth less. It's called the Cantillon effect, named after an economist in the 1700s who figured this out. Money loses value as it moves through the economy, so whoever gets it first wins. Whoever gets it last loses. And guess who's always last? You. This is why the wealth gap keeps growing. It's not just about rich people being greedy, it's about the structure of the monetary system itself. People close to the money printer, banks, financial institutions, government contractors, they get newly printed money first. You get it last, after it's already been devalued. It's a hidden transfer of wealth from workers to the financial class, happening every single day, and it's completely legal. Now I'm going to say something controversial, but hear me out. The system created after 1971 is a form of modern slavery. Not slavery like chains and whips, slavery like incentives and invisible bars. Let me explain what I mean. Your grandfather could work 30 years, save money, and retire. His money held value, so his labor held value. He was free in a real sense, because he could convert his time into stored value. But you can't do that anymore. You work, you save, and inflation eats it. So you have to keep working, keep investing, keep taking risks forever. You're on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, and if you stop running, you fall off. That's not freedom. That's a cage made of inflation. And here's where it gets really dark. The average American now dies with over $60,000 in debt, according to Experian data. Think about that. You work your entire life, and you die owing money. You never truly owned your labor. You rented it from the financial system, and you died before you paid it off. Your entire life was spent making interest payments to banks. That's not conspiracy. That's reality for millions of people. But it's even more insidious than that. Because of inflation and stagnant wages, most families now need two incomes to survive. In 1970, 60% of households had one earner. Today, that's flipped. Both parents work now, which means less time with kids, less time for community, less time for life. The system doesn't just steal your money, it steals your time with your family. It forces both parents into the workforce, then charges you for childcare, then wonders why society is falling apart. And here's the psychological trap. You can't opt out. You have to participate in this system. You have to use dollars. You have to pay taxes. You have to play the game. And the game is rigged in a very specific way. It rewards asset holders and punishes wage earners. If you own stocks, real estate, businesses, you benefit from inflation because asset prices go up. If you only have your labor to sell, you lose because wages don't keep up with real inflation. The system literally divides society into two classes: people who own things and people who only own their time. And if you only own your time, you're slowly getting poorer, even if your paycheck says otherwise. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Was this a conspiracy? Did rich elites plan this to control everyone? And here's my honest answer. It's both simpler and more complex than that. I don't think there was a room full of villains plotting to enslave humanity. I think there was a room full of politicians and economists who made a choice: short-term survival over long-term stability. But here's the conspiracy part. Once they made that choice, the people who benefit from it have every incentive to keep it going. The real conspiracy isn't that it was planned from the beginning. It's that nobody in power wants to fix it now because the system benefits them. Politicians love inflation because they can spend unlimited money without raising visible taxes. Banks love it because debt becomes their most profitable product. Wall Street loves it because it forces everyone into the stock market. The only people who don't benefit are regular workers, and workers don't have lobbyists. Here's what I think really happened. In 1971, America faced an impossible choice: defend the gold standard and face economic collapse, or abandon it and hope we figure it out later. Nixon chose survival. But then something interesting happened. The people who benefited from the new system, the financial industry, government spenders, asset holders, they realized they could keep this going forever as long as people don't understand what's happening. So they don't teach this in schools. They use complicated language like quantitative easing instead of money printing. They blame inflation on supply chains, on Putin, on anything except the actual cause, which is expanding the money supply. The real conspiracy is the conspiracy of silence. It's not about evil plans. It's about incentives. Everyone with power benefits from the current system, so nobody with power wants to change it. And the people getting hurt don't understand the system well enough to demand change. That's not a theory. That's just how power works. But here's what gives me hope. You're watching this video, which means you're starting to understand. And once you understand, you can protect yourself. You can't change the system, but you can change how you operate within it. So here's where we are. You now understand that money changed in 1971. You understand that inflation is a hidden tax on your time. You understand that the system rewards asset holders and punishes wage earners. The question is, what do you do with this information? First, accept reality. The gold standard isn't coming back. Politicians aren't going to fix this. You have to adapt to the world as it actually exists, not the world you wish existed. That means understanding that cash loses value, so holding only cash is a losing strategy. It means understanding that debt can be a tool if used correctly, but a trap if used incorrectly. It means understanding that your financial education is now a survival skill, not optional. Second, think in assets, not dollars. Your grandparents could think in dollars because dollars held value. You can't. You have to think, how do I convert my labor into things that hold value over time? That might be real estate, stocks, skills, businesses, anything that can't be printed. The goal isn't to get rich. The goal is to not get slowly poor. Third, understand the game being played. The system is designed to transfer wealth from people who only sell their time to people who own assets. If you only trade time for money and then hold that money, you lose. You have to find a way to convert your time into assets, even small ones. That's the only way to stop the wealth transfer. And finally, teach this to people you care about. The system survives because most people don't understand it. Your kids aren't going to learn this in school. Your friends probably don't understand why they're struggling. Share this information. The more people who understand what's actually happening, the harder it becomes to keep the system running on autopilot. Here's the uncomfortable truth I'll leave you with. August 15th, 1971 was the day someone decided your time is worth less every single year. They didn't ask your permission. They didn't warn you. They just did it. And you've been paying for that decision your entire life without even knowing it. Every extra hour you work, every stress about money, every delay in retiring, it all traces back to that one decision. But now you know. You can't unknow this. The invisible theft is visible now. And once you see it, you have a choice. You can be angry, or you can be strategic. You can complain about the system, or you can learn to operate within it successfully. The system isn't fair, but it is reality. And your job isn't to fix the system. Your job is to protect yourself and the people you love from its effects. That's the real story of 1971. Not just an economic policy change, but the day time itself became cheaper. The day your labor started losing value before you even finished the work. The day the rules changed and nobody bothered to tell you. But now you know, and that knowledge is the first step to taking back control of your financial future.